What is a framing device? Well, if you've seen The Princess Bride, you've already seen a pretty clever one. That film features an epic tale of adventure and icky kissing, but all told from the perspective of a man reading the story to his sick grandson. A framing device is simply that. The perspective from which the story is being told. Most often, that perspective is simply undefined or manifested as an omnipresent narrator. But other times, a framing device can be used to make the experience all the more unique. This goes doubly for video games, as their interactive element already makes you part of the action. But what are some of the most creative instances? Let's dive into 5 games with cool and unusual framing devices. Number 5, Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2 takes the classic interrogation framing device a step further by adding in the always enjoyable trope of the unreliable narrator. While Secret Cassandra questions lovable and sadly unromanceable rogue Varric, she never knows what sort of truth she is getting, her fault for interrogating an author. The whole game is framed as if it's being recounted by Varric, who was always present for most of it. The fun stuff happens when he takes some creative liberties, including making himself and the hero Hawks seem way cooler. Keeping these moments infrequent makes them that much funnier when they do hit. Number 4, Tales from the Borderlands. With a similar concept to Dragon Age 2, Tales from the Borderlands features its 2 leads under intense questioning by a mysterious individual, but each tells their own version of the story they both live. It's basically like asking 2 toddlers who broke the TV. Company man Reese and Connor's Fiona are unlikely comrades, and they both know that full well. So they often make each other look like a real dork when the opportunity arises. Their commitment to the bit while being interrogated in a wild wasteland is admittedly impressive. Number 3, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time starts off with the titular prince telling a story to an unnamed listener, which may seem a bit basic at first, but so does pudding, and that stuff is delicious. Besides, there's one particular clever twist involved. When you inevitably miss a jump or lose a battle, even despite the temporal powers of the Dagger of Time, the prince will explain it away as if him telling the story wrong, and we'll skip back to before it happened. Not many games include player death as part of their framing devices, and that's what sets this classic Prince of Persia game apart. Number 2, Assassin's Creed. The framing device used in the first Assassin's Creed is arguably one of the biggest reasons the series is so widespread today. Using the device known as the Animus, you're able to jump into the memories of your own ancestors and not only see their lives, but physically live with them with freedom of movement. Eventually, the game started to get a little too fast and loose with the rules, but this opened the door for more interesting meta ideas, such as a game development studio using the Animus to create historically accurate experiences. Coming in at number 1 is Borderlands 2: Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. We may have several games that capture the Dungeons & Dragons vibes, but what about taking that idea literally? Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep frames its whole DLC campaign as Borderlands 2 characters playing a legally distinct tabletop fantasy game. Naturally, this includes narration and commentary from Tina as the game master, as well as the players, and hearing Brick quietly say, "I punch it" when you melee a certain enemy is just one of the countless genuinely hilarious moments it features. It was so good it even spawned a sequel in the Borderlands 3 DLC called Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, in case you forgot who the real star of these games is. Let us know in the comments about your favorite game that uses cool and unusual framing devices to tell its story. And as always, head over to thegamer.com for features, list, and more.